we are going to discuss a simple concept of electrical engineering, that is source transformation. The simple concept is basically deals and explains that how we can convert a practical voltage source into equivalent practical current source. Suppose if a voltage source, practical voltage source is given here with its internal resistance Ri, so this is convertible into a practical current source I source Is in parallel with its internal resistance Ri, right? So we use the basic Ohm's formula in this, that is V is equal to Ri, V source equal to I source into R internal. Fine. We have to calculate value of current source. Then what we have to do? It's I is equal to V upon R. So V will be source value, source voltage divided by its internal resistance. That will come out to be source current. Fine. Okay. So the basic formula for this is using Ohm's law. Let's have a look at how we are going to do in numericals. Right? Come here. Okay, fine. So this is our first question. You can write it down if you want. It's a given the 10 volt voltage source with its internal resistance 2 ohm, and he is seeking for the resolution to convert this voltage source into a equivalent current source. Fine. So what we have to do? We have to use a simple Ohm's formula, that is I is equal to V by R. Fine. Because we have to calculate the source current value. That is why we are using the formula I is equal to V by R. We have to calculate I source, that therefore there it is Is. Fine. Is is equal to Vs, that is source voltage, divided by Ri, that is internal resistance of this source. So here it is V source given is 10 volt, Ri given is 2 ohm, and we will put these two values out there and it will comes out to be 10 upon 2, so 5 amperes. Fine. Now we have to see how we can convert this diagram into a equivalent current source diagram. We have converted this 10 volt voltage source into a 5 ampere current source. So what we have to do? We have to replace basically this 10 volt voltage source by a 5 ampere current source. Fine. Now what about this internal resistance? We all know that the internal resistance of current source is parallel with it. So this internal resistance will come in parallel. Fine. Okay. Now we will take another example. If the given current source is 20 ampere with its internal resistance as 5 ohm. Now we have to convert this into equivalent voltage source. How we are going to calculate? Again we are going to use the simple Ohm's law, that is V is equal to IR. So V source equal to I source into R internal. The values are right there: 20 ampere, 5 ohm internal, 5 ohm internal. We will multiply these two. This comes out to be 100 volt. Fine. So we have got the value of voltage source voltage, that is 100 volt. Fine. So now we are going to replace this diagram by an equivalent voltage source diagram. How we are going to do it? This 20 ampere current source has been converted into 100 volt voltage source. So we are drawing this 100 volt voltage source. The point is the arrow mark is at upwards. Current is going upwards. So we have to mark positive in the up direction, right? And negative in the bottom. Similar way, the positive sign is in the up. So we have drawn arrow mark in the upside. Fine. So now this 5 ohm internal resistance of current source, which is connected in the parallel, will be removed from here and it will come here in series, because this is a voltage source. Fine. So this is a basic source transformation concept. We will get a repetition of, just a brief repetition of it. The source transformation itself says that any practical voltage source can be converted into current source and vice versa. We will use a basic Ohm's formula, that is V is equal to IR. to convert voltage source into current source or current source into voltage source. Fine. So V is equal to IR, I is equal to V upon R. This is how we are going to convert it. It is given here as voltage source. We need to calculate the current source value. So source current will be V upon R. We will put the values, find the current source. Now we will replace the voltage source by the current source, and the internal resistance connected in series into, it will come into parallel. Fine. Similar way, if there is a given current source with its internal resistance connected in parallel, so we have to convert this current source into voltage source. We can calculate the value of voltage source with the help of Ohm's law, and this current source will be replaced by the voltage source, and its internal resistance will be removed from parallel and it will come into series. Fine. So this is the basic source transformation concept. Fine.